Hello, I'm IBX Toycat, and around about this time last week, I uploaded a personal story talking about some of the worst teachers that I've had across my entire time across school and college, and you guys really liked that video. It got over 250 likes, and I mentioned briefly that if you guys really liked it, I might do a video talking about some of the worst students that I'd ever been with across college and school and stuff, and you guys kind of request that stuff. So that's what I'll be doing today. I'd very much appreciate a like on this video, especially since it's not going to be Minecraft gameplay. I'm not sure what's going to be in the background. Probably Call of Duty and Battlefield. But yeah, I'd really appreciate a like, but let's get straight into the story, shall we? So here is a personal story talking about the very worst people that I've, had in my classes / interact with across school and college. So hopefully, because everyone has to interact with these awful people on some level, it will make you feel better about the people you interact with at school or interacted with at school / college. So finally, before I can start my first story, I just want to kind of explain that I'm in a three-tiered school system, at least where I live. So basically there's lower schools, middle school, upper schools, and the middle school and the upper school I went to were, I guess, fairly rough, urban, I don't know what you want to call it, but they were a lot, unsafe places that, were generally known to be pretty awful, but, you got automatically signed up to go there, you kind of had to opt out and stuff, so it's I could make them not go there, or we could just send our kids there anyway, so that's kind of the deal with that stuff. But yeah, let's go into the first story, which comes from, the middle of middle school, funnily enough, and basically, so there's this new kid that comes in, somewhere nearish the end or the start of the year, and he looks very different to everyone else. He just has a round head, very, very short hair, super shaved hair, and is pretty short at the same time. So I assume that he has no friends, as because when you move schools you don't. And later that week, when we're in the same class and forced next to each other because of a weird seating plan or whatever, we kind of I kind of talk a little bit to him, and I wouldn't say we became friends, but we're more acquaintances than before. Because if someone needs friends, I'll be the nice guy that at least tries and talks to them, trying to feel them out or whatever. And yeah, we don't really actually see each other in any classes after that for some reason, but all of the other interaction was outside of school. So later that week I see him on the way home, and it's oh, you walk that way too, let's both walk that way. And we then stop off at a big store, and he's oh, I'm going to go inside and, get something. Do you want something? And it's oh, you're extending the hand of generosity. How nice of you. Maybe this guy isn't so bad after all. So yeah, I'm yeah, get me something. And he comes out maybe, 5 minutes later, even though it should have taken, 2, and he has, a box of 4 of, I think they were called Juicy Drop Pops, funny enough. They're super sour lollipop things, and he just comes out with a box of 4 of them or something. So, it's not just, individual, of one of them, which they're, £1 each, but he just brings out 4 of them, and I'm oh, you have 4. And he's yeah, stole them. Just straight up honest with me like that. And that made me uncomfortable. Of course, I took it anyway, because it's a juicy drop pop. But I felt very uncomfortable about the whole ordeal, and it raises red flag. Because, if someone steals, especially, at that age, 11, 12, then it probably means their parents didn't tell them not to, and maybe even encouraged them to, or something like that. And it just sends really, really bad signals. So I'm okay, slightly dodgy dude, but he's nice enough. And then we go our separate ways, we walk home, and I don't see him again for another week or so again. And this time is an entirely separate area, and he has a scooter this time. So I'm oh, you take the scooter to school now? And he's no, just got it today, found it in the front of someone's garden. So he, and then he kind of explained where he got it from, etc. And he just said, yeah, they just left it out in their garden, because it was in their garden. He jumped into their garden, took their scooter, and it's oh god, this guy has got some serious problems. So after that, I tried to, keep my distance. That's I don't know, when someone raises that many red flags, you don't really want to speak to them that much, and yeah, that's what I kind of did. Except one day, I remember it was a French lesson very clearly. I was super ill, and I also brought some Warhammer 40k figurines in. So if you don't know what they are, they're little basically futuristic soldier figurines or whatever, and they're really expensive, 15 quid for a box of 10, and I brought 10 of those with me, because I was transporting them from somewhere to somewhere else or something, and I just, whipped out a couple of those, and he saw them, and was oh, what's that? And I explained, and so yeah, I just left them in my pencil case. I had to go throw up or something, and I came back, and 4 of them were missing, and I'm oh, do you have those? No, don't have them. And I'm oh, you serious? Oh, well, do you want all of these then? And he was yeah, they'll go nicely with mine. And I was oh god, one, easy enough to trap him in a trap like that, and it's okay, so now you're going to give me those back. And he's nope. So he just took them, and there was nothing I could do about them. I told the teacher, and he's nope, don't have them. And, again, that's the teaching system or whatever, but okay, he has my stuff, but that sucks, but, you know, it's not in my army, so I wasn't that bothered. It really sucked that that's a ridiculous amount of money to just take for, just because he thinks they're cool. And this is like the third time that he's done something that made me uncomfortable, and it's also stealing my stuff, and I couldn't get it back from teacher, so that made me really angry. So I was like, dude, okay, you lost friendship, you're done. I'm not, you know, caring, I don't care about you in the slides anymore. Just do your own thing over there or whatever. So yeah, we just didn't, you know, we went from being almost friends to being like, screw that guy. And this didn't really come up again because he just didn't really do a whole bunch until later that year when I'm just waiting for someone, either my brother or my friend or something like that outside classroom, and he comes over and he's just like, oh yeah, hi. And he just starts a fight for no reason. Like, this is so long past that it's not even as if, like, it's my lack of friendship that's causing this fight or something awful like that. It's just, I feel like a fight right now. So, literally ridiculous, dude. And we just fought for, like, maybe 5 minutes, and then he just goes a separate way. We're both pretty hurt from the whole thing. And he's like, oh yeah, done. And so, like, what the hell? What? I don't even. So we have a guy that I've extended the hand of friendship to, and what he's done in return is he's stolen repeatedly. He's stolen from me, and then he's just decided to fight me. Of course it hurts, but it's like, why am I taking this stuff? And I decide to report it to the school. You really shouldn't just do that on school property. By the way, it's like a severely less punishment if you do it outside. But it was just on school property for no reason, and I decided this dude's getting punished. He deserves it. He's done so much awful stuff, and he's just a broken human being. So I report him to the school, because, you know, you probably shouldn't start a fight on school soil. And basically, because they just had so many bad complaints from him, whether it be teachers or whatever, and like he'd done it with a couple of students, that I believe, I don't know if it was just me or something, but they punished him pretty badly, and then I don't remember seeing him about a week after that. He was just gone. So I like to believe that it was my fault that he got expelled, and I think he deserved it. There's lots of bad words I like to say about him, but let's just leave that. He was an awful human being that was very broken and entirely deserved everything he got, and hopefully isn't doing well at all right now. I'm very, very bitter about that. But at least on the plus side, it was my first fight experience, aged like 11, like I said. So yeah, let's move on to the next story, which might be more relatable because it's not just some broken human being or whatever. But basically, this guy, he also moved in around about the same time, maybe the exact same day as this other guy, except he was much more likable. Like, he was liked by most people, and during middle school he was a pretty cool guy. We didn't speak that much, but every time we did it was reasonably positive. So I like to believe, again, we were like on that almost friend level. I wouldn't say we're friends. I wouldn't say most people were my friends, but, you know, we're on like that acquaintance level where we can talk about something and be like, yeah, that's cool. So yeah, we, during upper school, he goes missing somewhere for like a year. Maybe he went to another school. I don't entirely know what's up there. But basically when he comes back, he's very, more rough and urban, like I said. I don't even know what the words are to describe it that are correct, but basically he comes back, and one of the first conversations we have, not that we were like first to speak, like this was halfway through the year maybe, and he just starts talking about, I think it's weed, and it's like, yeah, so I smoke this stuff and whatnot, and I'm like, oh yeah, my friends have done blank 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 blank, and we had a little bit of conversation about that. And it's like, oh, this guy is one of those guys. That's fair enough, whatever, do your own thing. Lots of people at my school did it. That kind of says something about the classiness of that place. By the way, like, there were people that literally did it on the playground, like at the end of the playground, just decided, oh, now's weed time. So I think that's just worth mentioning by itself. So basically, he's not so bad a guy, except he gets kind of worse and worse as like the couple of years go on. So like towards the end of year 10, year 12, year 11, where I'm like maybe 14, 15, he gets worse and worse. Like he joins some form of gang, I believe, and he starts mugging people outside of school. I'd heard more than a couple of stories where people have been mugged by him and the people he associated with. And so yeah, he gets more of a risky guy. But I think we're in a level where he's probably not going to do that to me, so yay, that's good or whatnot. And so he just decides randomly, in the middle of a maths lesson, by the way, bear in mind, this is a maths lesson with a pretty lax teacher, that, like, we did some awful things, but, like, a pretty lax teacher, but still a teacher. And while we're just doing our own work and stuff, he says, like, halfway across the classroom, yo, Andrew, wanna buy some weed? And, like, I just didn't respond, like, I didn't hear that. Why did you, Oscar? A good joke, by the way, there, whatever your name was, and yeah, that's you know, kind of how he reacted. So how he reacts to that, instead of being like, oh, he couldn't hear me, maybe I'll go closer, I'll be more discreet about this. By the way, I didn't buy any weed of him, and even if I was into that sort of stuff, probably wouldn't buy from a dude that's pretty well known for mugging people and that is willing to, you know, deal in a classroom. With that said, he says it again, but he says it louder this time. So I just think, you know, trying to play it off as a joke, because I don't want this stuff. I don't want the entire class to think that we're making weird deals across the class. classroom. So I'm like, oh, no man, no man. And then he says, you sure? It's really good stuff and stuff. And that's finally when the teacher's like, maybe you should quiet down and talk about your work. Because apparently she just didn't care. I was like, good joke there, kids. I guess I played it right or whatever. So, yeah, that wasn't too bad. And then actually, I think it might have been like the next maths lesson. He comes over closer and he's like, oh, I swear this is some really, really good stuff or whatever. Like, he gives me a sales pitch on the quality of the goods he is selling. And I'm like, you know what? No, I'm not down for drugs right now. And, yeah, that's fine. That's how it happens. And then maybe later on in the year, like, a couple months later, he posts on my Facebook, because this was just after Facebook had gone, you know, kind of big and everyone had it and everyone had it. And he posts on my Facebook wall, not Facebook message. He posts a message on my Facebook, yo, wanna buy, and then like a slang term for weed. And it's like, maybe please don't post this on my Facebook. And I was like in this awful situation for so long where if I remove the post, then he's gonna be a little offended at that probably, because, you know, removing people's posts is a little bit of an insult. And as I said, somehow this tooth was really violent, known for drugs, known for muggings, known for really just the bad stuff that happens. And so what I decided to do, I took the risky decision and I blocked him, and somehow that paid off because you can't actually see people's Facebook, and maybe he just thought I was gone from Facebook after that. But regardless of whatever happened there, fortunately at some point that year he was expelled. I imagine, you know, you can only sell drugs across a classroom for so long before someone calls you in and says, maybe don't do that. So yeah, both of these stories ended up with someone getting expelled. The second one, dude, try, you know, if you're gonna push drugs on people, maybe don't do it so publicly. Maybe that's not the way to do it. But yeah, that's my couple of stories of the worst people I've ever been with. As I said, they're slightly concerning stories. Looking back on it, it's like, how are kids even that broken? I don't even understand it. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, a like would be appreciated, like I mentioned before. If you have any ideas for my next video, like in my head I've got like the worst crimes or something like that, or most stupid crimes. Let me know, and like these aren't gonna be real crimes. Like, ooh, I killed a dude. I have a couple of really stupid stories about, like, once I stole a little bit of chocolate and stuff like that. And if you want to hear that stuff, let me know. If you have any ideas, let me know down below. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and here is an outro.